Marfoogle News going live in 3, 2.
Welcome you to Marfoogle News, where you only get...
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have really, really alarming stories coming out right now. Of course, if you haven't already heard, there's a 100% tariff that is going out, and they are saying that this is an extraordinarily aggressive stance that China is taking against us. Now, there's two events that I think that play into this, and one of them might not be talked about right now because it is, they're saying, is separate, right? Obviously, we have talked about in the weeks prior how the president has actually made comments, and a ton of comments at that, about a possible force and people inside of our country not in uniform, an invasion from within. That was a direct quote, as far as invasion from within and, having a domestic threat not in uniform, and that they're hard to spot because they're not wearing the colors of their country. All right. And now they have, of course, have slapped this tariff, which I heard my 19-year-old say, oh, well, now the Temu stuff and all this is going to be messed up. That's what the young people are caring about. The outraged U.S. president's bombshell announcement is the latest escalation in the brutal trade war against China, with Trump accusing the country of taking an extraordinarily aggressive position on trade. But what really triggered this? Again, there are many things being done right now on the world stage that many were not looking at. Of course, China is in the back of everybody's minds, but it's not on the front page. Most media and all of these different, media companies that are probably quarter owned by China at this point are really not putting out the biggest threat, which is China. Everybody's talking about Russia and Iran and all of the other adversaries on that list. But right now, China is loading up and getting ready for a massive, massive war. In a fiery Truth social post, he hit back at Beijing, who sent an extremely hostile letter to the world, where they outlined trade measures controlling virtually every product they make. An enraged leader, he said he would impose his own export controls on any critical software heading to China, starting November 1st, 2025, or sooner, depending on any further actions or changes taken by China. Remember, this could be because of the letter. It could be because of what we're about to talk about in a second. The United States of America will impose a tariff of 100% on China. Also, on November 1st, we will impose export controls on any and all critical software. It is impossible to believe that China would have taken such an action, but they have, and the rest is history. And I want to point out that the way he said that, it is impossible to believe that China would have taken such an action, but they have, and the rest is history. There's a reason why I believe today will actually be in history books as an infamous day, because there's multiple events here, and if they are what I think they are, or if they come to the truth, sheds light on this, and it turns out to be China, then you'll understand why in a minute. He said China's new measures were part of a plan devised, quote, years ago, and called the rules unheard of in international trade and a moral disgrace with dealing with other nations. It's just absolutely nuts. We're going to get to the rest of this and Japan, and we're going to talk about this massive, massive attack that just happened. In just 2 seconds, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out EMP and, of course, make sure to check out Energy. Both companies are really, really important right now because right now we are facing a precipice where all of these countries are lining up for war. If you want to protect yourself as far as having power when there is none, one of the biggest threats to our country is that our grid goes down. If you want to be sufficient and be self-reliant, then make sure to get a solar generator. Go over to marfooglenews.com/energy to get one of the best. This is the same generator that just won the SBIR Phase 2 contract with the Army. It's reinforced with steel. It is front-loaded in the USA, so you know that there's no back doors on it. And, of course, it has a heater for built-in heating during extreme cold temperatures, and it is modular. Means that this can click off of 5 batteries or 1, and you can take it with you and throw it in your truck. Heck, this thing could fall off your truck. Go check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy, and make sure to use the code MARFOOGLE. Again, that will save you money, and it will help our channel at the same time. All right, let's get back to we're going to go back to this event, and let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So I also want to go and talk about this letter that he sent. There's going to be another reason why this possibly could have happened today, but talk about that letter.
He also said in there that they are becoming very hostile and sending letters to countries throughout the world. What they want to impose export controls on each and every element of production having to do with rare earths and virtually anything else they can think of, even if it's not manufactured in China. So what I'm assuming here, especially as it relates to the rare earths, which they've tightened it down in the past, and then relieved it again for us. Well, this is a sure sign that conflict is about to ensue. If they are going to lock down and control the exporting or even from other countries rare earth minerals to the US, then that is a sure sign of trying to stop our military industrial complex from being able to produce production of military equipment because it all is dependent upon it. And the reason you would do that is if you're about to go into conflict and we have to resupply, rebuild, build missiles, build ships, build tanks, whatever it is, helicopters and planes, all of it will not happen if we don't have those rare earths.
Yeah, as far as this event, this is something that many people are not even going to think about. And today, there's a lot of folks talking about some really crazy stuff on Twitter. I mean, obviously, right now, one of the biggest stories is Atlas, right? Everybody's talking about a possible mothership coming in, and that's going viral right now. Meanwhile, essentially, a war has just had its first steps taken, and this is probably the 450th step. We've been telling you for years how this is being set up, and it is very easy to predict this. We don't believe we have a crystal ball. We just have common sense, and we don't believe the physical front page that tells you, no, nothing's to see here. I mean, it's really that simple. They put out mainstream media that says everything is fine, and there are literally millions and millions of people around the world that just go, oh, but no, they said it's fine. That is how, slow people are nowadays, especially when people are just looking for the next person to just tell them, hey, it's going to be okay. We're not that person. We think that you should prepare and have a plan for the near future because right now we are about to have a world war. It is something that has happened before twice, and it is something that is going to repeat. As long as we're human beings, we're not a type 1 civilization, it's what's going to happen. Now, Japan will arm its submarines with long-range cruise missiles. Now, before we go into this, I want to briefly mention what we are going to be talking about in our next show, which is the explosion at a bomb factory in the U.S. It left a huge crater. It's one of our weapons factories. Do you think it is kind of crazy that at about 8 a.m. we find out that a bomb factory went, poof, in the United States? And today we say that they're taking hostile actions and we call these out. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Was this done from within, from people that may not be in uniform? Is this triggering a massive, massive response? Are the National Guard in many cities actually also there because they are worried that some of these states already have people there in place for some sort of invasion from within? Not my quote, the president's, again, saying that there's a domestic threat that are not in uniform. I don't think he's talking about the folks looking for a better life. So, but now Japan, and we followed Japan's story, especially even their ex-president that ended up getting taken out with a handmade shoddy, which actually changed history. He supported Japan actually changing their constitution to essentially be an offensive country. Japan, since World War II and since the nuclear bombs dropped, they have been on a defensive stance that they wouldn't get involved in a war unless they were actually attacked. Well, that all is changing. And of course, this is a huge sign. They're adding long-range cruise missiles to their submarines. This is on top of every other change that's happening with Japan. They are literally changing their constitution over time to essentially be the force that they were in World War II. Luckily, this time, they're on our side. Again, Japan continues to work towards enhancing its long-range cruise missile capability, which contracts its issues with a new standoff capability for its submarine fleet, as well as improved anti-ship missiles for its destroyers. Contracts have now been issued for the mass production of both those weapons, which come as a country bolsters its abilities to attack both land and targets and enemy surface warships to counter the growing threats from China and North Korea in particular. The Ministry of Defense announced the new contracts for the upgraded ship-launched Type 12 anti-ship missiles and unnamed torpedo tube-launched cruise missile, on Tuesday. Both contracts are awarded to Mitsubishi Heavy Industries. Now, the time frame, they're wanting these immediately. So if you think that this is something 10 years down the road, you are mistaken. Dex, let's talk about the massive Russian missile attack on Kiev.
Okay, so we said, hey, yesterday they had switched to attacking their natural gases and natural gas lines and natural gas sources, and to make it difficult for them to heat their homes in the wintertime now, as it's going to start to get cold. And they said they were doing that was a shift from targeting the power. Well, now the next day they come in with an even larger attack, Russia does, going after the power. So Ukraine has reported large-scale Russian assault on Kiev on Friday, involving ballistic missiles, drone strikes that caused widespread power outages and injured at least 9 people. The attack, which targeted the critical infrastructure, is part of what officials say is an intensified Russian campaign against the energy grid. So earlier this week, it was all about the natural gas. Now they've gone in and went after the electrical grid.
Yeah, so it's all moving forward as many predicted. It is, and essentially there was something yesterday that said that they were actually moving Ukrainians back as far as the front line, and they were moving trainings back. They say some were angered because a lot of the trainings were actually closer to the front line, and they had incidents where there were hundreds of individuals training, and they were able to just drop a missile in one place and take out a huge amount of people. How other people took this moving back was that they were losing ground. So which is true? I'll leave that up for you to find out again. But it doesn't seem like they're exactly winning 100% here. So we're going to talk about many, many more things, including that bomb factory that just went up. Today, you could feel it. Something is very, very wrong. Everyone is saying World War III. We'll tell you why in just a moment over on Marfoogle TV. If you're in the chat, just stay there. You'll be ported over. If you want to join us in the replay, make sure to click here. We'll see you in just a moment. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.
The only resistance.